Hello. In this 10-minute video, we'll try to pack in as much useful information as possible on creating a simple game in Unity, using a scene that can be adapted for any genre. We'll use ready-made assets from the asset store, build a game scene from scratch, add a character, and implement basic mechanics. Everything will be quick, to the point, and without unnecessary fluff. If you're just starting to learn Unity or want to understand how to work effectively with assets, this video is for you. Let's go! We'll start by creating a project in Unity. Open Unity Hub and create a new project based on the 3D URP template. We chose the Universal Render Pipeline because it's perfect for simple and performant games, exactly the kind we'll be making in this example. Next, specify the organization name and project name and the location where the project will be stored. Then click Create Project. After creating the project, go to the Unity Asset Store, where we need to find suitable assets for our project. The website features many paid and free assets. After acquiring the asset you like, you need to click Open in Unity or Add to My Assets. Next, open the Package Manager, find our asset in the list and download it into the project. Before importing, Unity will open a window where you can select which elements of the asset you want to add. We recommend carefully reviewing the list. For example, you can uncheck demo scenes if you plan to build your scene from scratch. This way, you'll save a bit of space and speed up project loading. In this video, I'll be using an asset from our studio, Platformer 15 Factor. It includes environment, characters, and some basic animations, an excellent starter kit for a platformer prototype. After importing the asset into the project, the first thing I do is check the folder structure. It's especially important to have core directories like prefabs, characters, scripts, textures, and materials in the root. This makes working with the asset much more convenient. You'll find the necessary elements faster and avoid confusion in the project. I recommend going through all nested folders, checking which models are included in the set, how they're grouped, and if they're ready-made prefabs and example scenes. This will help you get oriented with the content and immediately understand which elements can be used out of the box and which will need further configuration to meet your project's needs. In our case, everything is organized simply and clearly. In the downloaded pack, the folders are logically structured and the file names are readable. Neat organization is already half the battle when working with external resources. For our game creation example, we chose the 2.5D platformer genre. In such a game, the character primarily moves from left to right, overcoming various obstacles, collecting bonuses, and interacting with environmental elements. This is a classic and understandable format that clearly demonstrates the principles of scene construction and game-level creation. First, we need to correctly configure the game camera's view. This determines how the player perceives the scene as a whole. We'll adjust the focal length and choose the optimal camera distance so that the character and environment are clearly visible and comfortable. After that, we'll build the level relative to the camera, ensuring everything important remains in view and the scene looks logical and balanced. Now, let's move on to the scene. I'm starting with an empty scene and gradually adding environment elements using ready-made assets. I create the level using models from the prefabs folder, and I also check them for collisions and add a physical material with settings to make the character move more naturally on objects. It's crucial that even at the example stage, everything looks logical and functional. The game level must be well throughout. The player shouldn't get stuck between objects, navigation through the location should be intuitive, and the route itself should be varied. Avoid boring linearity. Even a simple path branching or a small interactive element can greatly enrich the level's perception. It works well when the player has a choice, for example, to take the upper or lower path, risk for a bonus, or bypass danger. It's also worth paying special attention to the visual component of the scene. In addition to the basic placement of objects, small but expressive details play a huge role in making the scene lively, atmospheric, and memorable. This could be an old lantern, a swaying chain, a discarded crate, footprints on the floor, or a dripping pipe. It's precisely these elements that form the character of the location, set the mood, and add depth to the entire level. Sometimes during development, there's a desire to add some special details or unique asset that isn't in standard sets and is hard to find in stores. In such cases, you can reach out to our team for help. In our Discord server, there is a special channel called Free Models where we create missing assets for free by community request. This is a great opportunity to supplement your project with unique elements and save time. Don't forget about lighting either. Well-placed light accents, soft shadows, and the overall color palette can completely transform even the simplest scene. A little later in this video, we'll show you how easily you can set up lighting and environment using a background image, which you can also download with a link in the description. Remember, right now we're just creating one example, but the assets themselves that we're using are versatile. With them, you can build not only a platformer, but also a quest, a runner, or an only-up style game. It all depends on your idea, imagination, and approach. This is the power of modular assets. They provide freedom and the ability to implement completely different genres while staying within one visual style. It's time to bring our scene to life. Drag the game character from the asset directly into the scene. At this stage, let's create an empty game object and place the player inside it. We'll name the game object Player. Let's add rigid body and capsule collider components here. For rigid body, we'll set the mass and freeze rotation on X and Z. For capsule collider, we'll adjust the radius and height to match the character. At the character's feet, we create an empty object called check ground to help detect when the character is on the ground in the future. Let's create a new animator controller for the player and name it Player Animator Controller. Then go to the player settings and drag the created Player Animator Controller into the controller fields of the player's animator component. And check Apply Root Motion. The next step is to go inside this controller and drag the animations we need from the animation folder using drag and drop. Let's create variables to control the animations and set up transitions between them. By the way, if you don't know how to add new animations, be sure to watch our previous video. We show in detail how to add any animations using Mixamo. Let's create a new script, Character Controller, where we'll write code for character control, movement, animation switching, and interaction with the environment. After that, simply drag the script onto the player object, fill in the necessary fields in the inspector, and you'll have a fully controllable character ready to work in the scene. In our case, control will be done using the W and D keys, standard platformer movement, forward, backward, and rotation. The mouse won't be used for looking around as we're walking in a 2.5D space where the camera is fixed and follows the player from the side. I'll also add basic camera settings so it smoothly follows the character and keeps them in frame during movement. This is necessary to assess how comfortable the scene feels during movement and how the level's geometry is perceived. Depending on the genre you plan to develop further, you can additionally implement collecting bonuses, weapons, or enemies. Even simple mechanics like automatic shooting, item pickup, or attack on collision will already make the prototype more lively and game-like. The main thing is to start small and gradually increase functionality. Next, we'll set up the lighting and environment. This is an important step that directly affects the visual perception of the scene and the overall mood. First, let's set up the lighting. Even basic lighting can radically change the scene's perception. Highlight main objects, create a sense of depth, or set the desired atmosphere. We'll add a main light source, adjust its direction and intensity, and if necessary, add additional accents, such as point or scattered lights, to emphasize details or create contrast. Next step is to design the background. The background has an important function. It fills the space behind the game objects and make the scene visually complete. For this, you can use 3D models, images, or their HDRI maps, all depending on the project style. We will choose the option with a background image. It's simple, performance-friendly, and visually effective. You can use your own image or download the one we've prepared. The link is in the description below this video. Don't forget that even a simple scene can look stylish and atmospheric if lighting and background are thoughtfully designed. These are the elements that give the game a finished look and help immerse the player in the right mood. And now we have a complete scene, a game character, and basic interaction. We built all of these using just one asset pack, and this is only the beginning. Most importantly, remember that assets don't limit your creativity. On the contrary, they give you freedom. The same set can be adapted for completely different genres and ideas, from a platformer to a survival action game, or even a puzzle. It all depends on your imagination. If you like this format, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to write in the comments what kind of game you would build from this asset. Also, join our Discord server, where we discuss game development, share experiences, and just chat with other developers. There you will find support, ideas, and inspiration for your projects. Good luck with your development. See you in the next videos.